Factories once built nations. They created jobs, power, and independence. So why can't we even produce simple medicine or microchips anymore? The answer is shocking. Over decades, production quietly moved away. What replaced it wasn't just cheaper, it was faster, smarter, and impossible to compete with. This is the real story of how the West lost its ability to build. The golden age of making things. There was a time when made in USA and made in Germany meant something powerful. After World War II, countries like the United States and Germany became industrial giants. They built cars, machines, medicines, and electronics, all at home. Factories were everywhere. Cities grew around them. Entire middle classes were created because of manufacturing. In America, factory jobs helped build a strong economy. While millions of people worked in steel plants, car factories, and assembly lines. These jobs paid well and didn't require advanced education. Families could live comfortably on a single income. Germany followed a different path, but just as powerful. It focused on precision, engineering, quality. German products became known for perfection. Machines from Germany were trusted worldwide. At that time, global competition was limited. Most countries were rebuilding. The West had the advantage: technology, capital, and infrastructure, but that advantage didn't last forever. The global shift begins. In the late 20th century, something changed. Companies started looking beyond their own borders. They realized something simple but powerful. What if we could make the same product, but cheaper? And the answer was yes. But countries in Asia, especially China, offered lower labor costs. Workers were paid far less, regulations were weaker, production could happen faster and cheaper. So companies began moving factories overseas. At first, it seemed like a smart decision. Costs dropped, profits increased, consumers got cheaper products. But this was the beginning of a massive shift. Over time, entire industries moved out: electronics, textiles, machinery, even basic tools. Between 2001 and 2009 alone, the U.S. lost about 1/3 of its manufacturing jobs. Factories didn't just shrink, they disappeared. The rise of global supply chains. What replaced local manufacturing was something far more complex: global supply chains. Instead of making one product in one country, companies began splitting production across the world. One country makes raw materials, or another builds components, another assembles the final product. This system became incredibly efficient, but also deeply dependent. Today, a single smartphone might involve dozens of countries: chips from Taiwan, screens from South Korea, assembly in China. And here's the problem: no single country controls the full process anymore. Even American factories rely heavily on foreign parts and machines. In fact, many U.S. industries depend on imported components to function. This means even if you want to build locally, you can't do it alone. Automation changed everything. Many people think jobs disappeared only because factories moved overseas. That's not the full story. Automation played a huge role. Machines replaced humans. Robots can work 24 hours a day. They don't need breaks. They don't ask for higher wages. As technology improved, the factories needed fewer workers. This created a strange situation. Manufacturing output increased, but jobs decreased. In fact, U.S. manufacturing production has grown significantly over time, even as employment declined. So the question is no longer just, where are the factories? It's also, how many people do we actually need inside them? Why it's so hard to bring factories back. Today, many governments talk about bringing manufacturing home. It sounds simple, but in reality, it's extremely difficult. First, cost. Producing goods in the US or Germany is far more expensive. Labor costs are higher, energy is more expensive, regulations are stricter. In Germany, rising energy prices and complex regulations are pushing companies to move production abroad. Second, infrastructure. Asia didn't just become cheaper, it became better. See massive industrial zones, efficient ports, fast logistics systems, skilled workers trained specifically for manufacturing. This ecosystem took decades to build. You can't recreate it overnight. Third, supply chains. Even if you build a factory locally, you still depend on parts from other countries. Without the full network, production slows down or stops completely. The single factory problem. Here's where things get even more serious. Many critical products now come from very few locations. In some cases, a single region or even a single factory produces most of the world's supply. Microchips are a perfect example. Advanced chips are made in highly specialized factories that cost billions of dollars to build. These facilities require extreme precision, advanced technology, and highly trained workers. Most countries simply don't have them, so instead of many nations producing critical goods, the world relies on a few key players, and that creates risk. The fragile system we created. This global system is powerful, but fragile. A single disruption can affect everything. Pandemics, wars, trade conflicts, natural disasters. When one part of the chain breaks, the entire system feels it. We saw this clearly in recent years. Shortages of chips slowed down car production. Delays in shipping caused empty shelves. Medical supplies became difficult to find. The system that made things cheaper also made them more vulnerable. The decline of Western manufacturing power. The shift didn't just change production, it changed economies. Manufacturing used to be the backbone of Western economies. Now, services dominate, finance, technology, real estate, entertainment. This shift is known as deindustrialization, a long-term decline in manufacturing activity and employment. It's not just about losing jobs, it's about losing capability. Because once factories disappear, the skills disappear too. Engineers move to other industries, workers lose expertise, supply networks break down, and rebuilding becomes harder with each passing year. Why Asia won this game? Asia didn't just offer cheap labor, it built something much bigger, a complete manufacturing system. Governments invested heavily in roads, ports, energy, and factories, creating a powerful foundation for production. China led this transformation by building one of the most advanced industrial ecosystems in the world. Factories, suppliers, logistics, and ports were all placed close together. This created massive industrial clusters where everything is connected and efficient. In fact, China's strength comes from its integrated supply chains and infrastructure, which allow fast and reliable production at scale. This system creates incredible speed. A product can move from idea to production in days instead of months. Skilled workers, advanced technology, and strong government support make the process even faster. That level of efficiency is extremely difficult to match, and that's exactly why Asia didn't just compete, it took over. Can we reverse this? So can the West bring manufacturing back? The answer is complicated. Some industries are returning. This process is called re-industrialization, trying to rebuild domestic industry, but it won't look like the past. Factories will be smaller, more automated, less dependent on human labor, and most importantly, they won't replace millions of lost jobs. Instead of thousands of workers, a modern factory might need only a few hundred highly skilled engineers. So even if production returns, the old industrial world is gone. The real truth most people miss. Here's the part most people don't realize. Manufacturing didn't disappear, it transformed. Western countries didn't lose all power, they changed their role. Today, many companies in the United States and Europe still control production, but from a distance. They design products, manage global supply chains, and own the world's biggest brands. The actual manufacturing happens in other countries where it's faster and cheaper. This system is part of what experts call global value chains, where production is spread across multiple regions. So the power didn't vanish, it shifted. From physically building things to controlling how, where, and by whom those things are built. The big question, are we too dependent? This leads to a bigger concern. What happens if those global systems fail? If critical goods come from a few locations, any disruption becomes dangerous. This is why governments are now talking about economic security, not just profits, but survival. Can a country function if it cannot produce its own essentials? That question is becoming more important every year. The story of Made in USA and Made in Germany is not just about factories, It's about change, a shift from local production to global networks, from human labor to automation, from independence to interdependence. The world didn't stop building things, it just changed where and how they're built. If this opened your eyes, you're not alone. The system we depend on is more complex and more fragile than it seems. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep, powerful breakdowns of the systems running our world. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it.